Alright guys, today we're going to be making animals out of circles, and we're going to be mostly focusing on drawing the head of the animal. To do this project, the only thing you have to have is a pencil and a piece of paper. Once we have our drawing done, if we want to use some kinds of colors or watercolors, we can do that. In order to do this project, we're going to be starting with a big circle. Now, circles can be kind of hard to draw freehand, so you have some choices here. Okay. You can either try to draw freehand, and if that looks more like an oval or an egg, that's okay. Or you can find some objects at home that you can trace. So I found some objects at home. I have a Clorox wipe canister. I have my dog's bowl. I have a clean yogurt cup. And just a random Tupperware lid from some sour cream here. So these are kinds of objects that we might have at home that we can use to trace. So my big circle here, I could use something like my dog bowl to make my big circle and trace that. I already have a big circle on my paper, so I don't need to trace that one. But now I have to decide what kind of animal I am going to make. And I have a bunch of different examples for you. So I have some pictures here. So as you can see, all of those pictures had different circles making up their animal. So you guys can choose to do whatever you want for that. I am going to start by tracing this circle here. And you guys can see if you can guess what I'm making. Okay, so this is going to become my mouth here. So this is his chin. And this is his muzzle, we'll call it. Okay. I'm going to add some ovals here for his nostrils. And I'm going to make some big cartoon eyes because I think those are fun. And don't worry if you make mistakes, you should be using a pencil and that will make it easy to fix. Okay, so I have these circles that make up my animals so far. I am going to see, let's see, do I want any more circles for ears? I think I'm done using my circles because I think these ears should be more triangles. So I'm really thinking about shapes here. I started with a circle, but I don't have to keep using circles. Once I have my main shapes, if I want to add more shapes, that's okay. But I'm thinking about each shape that makes up my animal drawing. So those are rectangles. Now I'm going to go back to circles. Have you guys guessed what I'm making yet? Okay, what would be missing to make this look like a giraffe? Because that's what I have chosen in case you hadn't guessed yet. I think he needs his neck. Maybe some giraffe spots. Okay, now if I want to, I could draw a background as something that's far away. So draw some desert line behind him, and maybe they live in kind of like the Sahara, so there's some trees. Not a lot of trees, it's pretty dry, but maybe he needs a tree so he can go eat off. Now you'll notice I'm drawing these really small because in my picture, these are far away. Okay, so now I have my drawing done. And next, I need to think about if I want to trace my picture, add color, add some shading with my pencil, what I want to do to finish it. So I've drawn nice and lightly, so I have a lot of options I can do. So I think what I'm going to do next, I'm going to find some markers that I have at home, and I'm going to trace my picture with different colors. If you watched the heart video I did for one of the classes already, you'll notice they had them trace with Sharpie. So I'm going to try to do different materials each time to give you guys ideas of what you can use from your house. So I'm going to use these markers, and I'm going to think about what color I want each part of my picture to be. So I could have chosen maybe orange or yellow for my giraffe. Okay, and so I'm tracing those things, the color I think they should be. And for the spots, I'm thinking brown. also thinking maybe I want some of my horns of my giraffe to be brown. Remember, we drew lightly with pencil, so when you're tracing, if you make mistakes, you don't have to get upset because you can just erase them. If you don't trace exactly where the pencil is, you'll erase your pencil line later, and then you won't even see it anymore. Okay, so I'm just tracing some of the things that I think I might want to be brown. And, you know, you might have a pig or a cat or a dog or a bunny rabbit. And so you'll choose the colors that you think your animal should be, because we want you to have fun as you're making your choices. We want you to look at this when you're all done and be happy with it and think that it was fun to do because you're stuck at home and missing art class and want to be creative. You guys could do as many different circle drawings as you wanted. If you guys make a bunch of them and share them with me on Google Classroom, we can share them with our classmates, and you might even see some of them show up on Facebook or Instagram. I'll share them with everybody so we can all see what each other is doing. Okay, so I've got some of those colors down. Now I'm going to think about my tree and my desert in the background as well. And again, because we drew in pencil, if we make mistakes tracing, we can erase the pencil lines and pretend like that's where we wanted it in the first place. So you can just see how I have traced this. Now, color this in. I can use markers to color this in. I can use crayons or colored pencils. Okay, depending on what sounds like fun to me. So I think I'm going to use some colored pencils and some crayons here. I might switch back and forth. But now I am using those colors I trace to help me decide what color I want everything to be. Remember, when you're coloring with colored pencils, it helps to go around your edges to help you stay neat. See how I'm going around those edges? Okay. And then after you've gone around the edges to fill everything in, you want to use kind of an oval or circular motion so that you fill in all of that white space. So you're not going to have a bunch of white scratch marks left as you're coloring. So if you guys don't know what to do, you can look at the PowerPoint. So see, those were just some ideas. You guys can do anything else that you can think of. And if it seems too hard to draw something by yourself, you guys can copy what I did. You can watch this video again and pause it as you go, and step by step you can just draw what you saw. And so if you want to do a giraffe too, because that's what I showed you, that's just fine. Okay, guys, it is okay to copy my idea. Now, depending on what you may have at home, you may realize that you don't have a color that you need in crayon or in colored pencil. We can use these interchangeably. So for example, I used a yellow colored pencil. Now I'm doing brown. I'm going to use a crayon. So you can see I follow the same rules with the crayons, coloring in a circular motion, being careful around those edges, right? So you can use crayons and colored pencils interchangeably if you only have some or one or the other. And that kind of makes it fun too. Maybe you do it on purpose. You want to use all the materials you have at home. Maybe you want to add some watercolors in here for the background. That sounds like a good idea. I might just do that for you guys so you can see what that looks like. Okay, so I'm going to finish coloring. I'm going to come back when this is colored, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to watercolor the background around my coloring, okay? All right, I'm done coloring, and now I have my watercolors and my water. Any kind of watercolors will work. If you don't have watercolors at home, you can keep working with crayons, colored pencils, or markers for your background, but I just wanted to kind of show you watercolors in case you want to do that. So I'm going to show you that last step. So I have colored my animal. I went ahead and colored my tree because I wanted it to stand out a little bit. Again, my guy is in like the Sahara, so there's not a whole lot of trees. It's mostly sand. So I'm going to start with my sand. And I'm just going to watercolor that. And again, whatever you have at home, you can use. Now, I went ahead and I did this on simple printer paper like what most of you might have at home, because I want to show you that you can still use that. If you have nice art paper at home, that would be great. And I have some of that I'll do on a project later on. But for now, I wanted to show you, as long as you're careful, you can watercolor on regular printer paper. You'll see though, it's getting nice and really wet right there, so it kind of makes the color harder to see. And it also makes my paper very fragile. One of the things you can do to help protect your table and your paper is to paint on top of a newspaper. So that's an option for you guys if you're trying to stay neat and absorb all that extra water. But as long as I'm careful, I can paint on printer paper. It's going to take a little while to dry, and the paper is going to be fragile, so I need to be careful. Okay? But you can see I'm just coloring. And again, we've done this before, if you remember, because crayons and color pencils have wax in them, the watercolor doesn't want to stay on my picture that I've colored. So it's going to help protect my paper. Okay, it's going to help protect my design. So that's a good thing about doing our animal with crayons and colored pencils, is I can paint the background without worrying. Now, if you wanted a really big challenge, you might actually paint the whole thing, even the animal. That would take a lot of skill, but I know you guys can do it. So just, have fun. The idea here is to draw some kind of animal that starts as a circle and use shapes and then color. If you're using your watercolors, remember to use plenty of water and remember to clean your brush really well. If I didn't clean my brush, my blue sky right now would be looking brown from my sand. So you want to make sure that you are cleaning your brush when you get a new color, okay? So just make sure you still follow those rules at home because they're not boring school rules. Make sure you follow that rule at home to keep your colors nice and clean. Every time you get a new color, you want to make sure you clean your brush. If you're using the same color like I'm doing right now, I'm just using blue, I don't have to clean my brush every time. I'm just getting more water because I have to use a lot of water for the watercolor to work. The more water I use, the lighter my color will look. So if I want it darker, I can use a little less water. But I still need to use enough water so that my watercolors will spread. So I'm going to finish this up and I'll be right back.